Lines. Vice President in Anambra as more aspirants pick forms. Federal government bars civil servants from party primaries. President Buhari orders crackdown on violent extremists in Southeast. And on the foreign scene, UN Security Council calls for peaceful resolution on Ukraine. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I'm Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in detail. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo on Friday met with APC delegates in Awka, the Anambra State capital, in continuation of his engagement with stakeholders ahead of the party's primaries. The leader of the Vice President's campaign organization in Anambra State, Ndu Chuks, explained that having served for 7 years as Vice President, among other stints in public service, Professor Osinbajo has acquired sufficient knowledge and experience needed to effectively lead the nation.
Our friend is our leader, and we are here to meet the delegates of Anambra State to ensure that the delegates support him so that he, instead of being aspirant, he will become the flag bearer of APC come the election 2023. We believe that we have to get it right 2023. This is a time to get it right in Nigeria. Nigeria have to be the giant of Africa, which Nigeria ought to be.
If by the grace of God and by the grace of the delegates across the nation, he clinches the ticket of this party, he will become a very good president. And he is the first presidential aspirant, not only as the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but as the first presidential aspirant to visit potential delegates in Anambra State.
Meanwhile, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has picked up the expression of interest and nomination forms to contest the presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress. Daily Trust gathered that Emefiele picked the 100 million naira forms at the party's organizing secretary at the International Conference Center in Abuja on Friday. This puts to rest the speculations on his interest in succeeding President Muhammadu Buhari. In February 2014, former President Goodluck Jonathan appointed Emefiele hours after he announced the suspension of his predecessor, Sanusi Lamido. In 2019, the former managing director of Zenith Bank made history as the first CBN governor to be reappointed. And still talking the presidential race, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, has obtained the 100 million naira expression of interest form and nomination for the ruling All Progressives Congress. He obtained the forms at the ruling party's headquarters in Abuja on Thursday. The former Rivers State governor had on April 9th joined the 2023 presidential race. He declared his interest at a Thanksgiving service organized by the Rivers State chapter of the APC. Amechi, who is from the South-South, has severally denied being interested in the race before his official declaration. The minister is the 6th APC aspirant to officially declare his intention to contest.
In Rivers State for 8 years, he was a governor for 8 years, and then eventually he's now a minister for 8 years, minister for a very strategic and visible ministry. So that's why we say, look, why don't we put our heads together, put our resources together, and get him the form that he needs to run.
I'll bring my experience to bear if I'm given the opportunity to be able to address some of these issues that we are not able to address, to ensure that the people of Nigeria feel happy with us, will continue to vote for us the way they voted for APC. And like I said in Ibadan, it's about the electability of the candidates. I come from the South-South, and I'm sure I serve the interest of every Nigerian. And I'm not a regional candidate, I'm a Nigerian candidate.
Science, Technology and Innovations, Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu, has formally declared his interest to contest for the presidency on the platform of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, in 2023. Onu's declaration swells the number of presidential aspirants, including ministers, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, APC national leader Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and some state governors, among others. While formally declaring on Friday in Abuja, Onu, also a former governor of Old Abia State, said Nigeria can no longer look to foreign countries for its salvation. According to him, the fact that Nigeria has the key to unlocking its own prosperity is enough for the citizens and his party to elect him as Nigeria's next chief servant. He recalled his days as governor of Abia State when the state provided free treatment in public hospitals and tackled insecurity and other sectors. And still talking politics, former Zamfara State Governor Ahmed Yerima says he has received the go-ahead from President Muhammadu Buhari to conjoin the race for the presidential ticket of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Yerima, who made the disclosure after he met with Buhari on Friday at the presidential villa, said he visited Buhari to seek his blessing to contest for the presidential ticket of the ruling party. The former governor said if he is elected president, he would fight insecurity, poverty and ignorance. Yerima, who once represented Zamfara West in the Senate, is famous for introducing Sharia law in Zamfara during his tenure as governor. The former governor joins a growing list of presidential hopefuls in the ruling party. Meanwhile, national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has endorsed Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for a second term in office. The Commissioner for Information, Benga Omotosho, made this known on Friday. The endorsement puts to rest speculation that Sanwo-Olu may be denied a second term in office. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the federal government has reiterated the prohibition on civil servants to partake in primary elections. This was contained in a circular by the head of the civil service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Esson, obtained on Friday. The circular came hours after the Independent National Electoral Commission asked political parties to conduct their primaries for the nomination of candidates from April 4th to June 3rd. The circular, dated May 5th, was titled Clarification on the Provision of Public Service vis-à-vis the Supreme Court judgment as it relates to the participation of civil servants in partisan politics. Meanwhile, the federal government has warned that it will deploy its strength to protect innocent and hard-working Nigerians from terrorists and those causing breakdown of law and order in the southeast region. The president spoke on Friday at a meeting he had with Southeast leaders during his two-day working visit to Ebonyi State. He expressed concern over the deteriorating security situation in the region, reiterating his directive to security agencies to flush out those perpetrating violence in the land. Kende Amadou reports.
President Buhari is deeply concerned about the deteriorating state of security in the southeast, particularly reports in the last few days of brutal actions carried out by those he describes as gun-wielding terrorists. The president is particularly irked by attacks on security personnel who have committed their lives to protect their fellow citizens. Against this gory background comes the appeal by Southeast traditional and religious leaders for the pardon and release of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. The president does not mince words in his reply.
I have listened carefully to the various appeals from the elders to the traditional leaders regarding a wide range of options. And as I have said previously, this matter remains in the full purview of the courts, where it will be properly agitated.
This is why it is surprising that the Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi said at the same event that President Muhammadu Buhari had agreed to a political solution in order to put an end to the threat the outlawed IPOB posed to the southeast region.
I have never believed in IPOB method of operation. I disagree with them. I will never agree with them. But we have gotten ourselves to a very terrible and pitiable situation. And some of us were warning that we could get to this situation, and some were playing politics with it. Mr. President, we are at this crossroads. I've been to you and I begged you for a political solution. Surprisingly and graciously, you granted that. And you said that our people could initiate that, and of course at the forefront by Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer. We've made all the efforts for the Ohanese to kickstart that. It's not for the governors. So I'm saying that Mr. President had already granted a political solution to be initiated.
Another issue fronted by Governor Umahi, who is also a presidential aspirant, was the demand for the presidency to be zoned to the Southeast region on the basis of fairness, equity, justice, and morality. On this, the president did not comment. To put things in proper perspective, it should be noted that President Buhari spoke after the Ebonyi State governor at the event. His words on any issue should therefore be regarded as final. Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has finally accepted Nigeria's classification of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, as a terrorist organization. The decision to tag the Indigenous People of Biafra as a terrorist group has been expected for long, as the group, led by Nnamdi Kanu, has been accused of several human rights violations. In this report, Nana Mohammed takes a look at what it means for Nigeria as a nation to have multiple terrorist organizations such as the Boko Haram and now IPOB. Nana Mohammed has more.
If you look at what's happening in the Southeast today, I don't think there's any single day you don't have quite a number of killings. It's senseless killings going on out there. So I see no reason what IPOB is doing is not different from what Boko Haram is doing. You understand? Because killing is killing under whatever guise. You don't take the laws into your hands and begin to kill people, you know, at random and think you're going to, I mean, Nigeria is almost becoming a lawless country because of this kind of activities. And that's a very sad and a tragic event that we're actually going through at the moment.
The acts of the terrorist group listed by the British Home Office include invasion of an All Progressives Congress APC meeting in Enugu State, where a party chieftain was killed, attack on an Imo police station where an officer was killed, the killing of Anambra residents during enforcement of the sit-at-home order, and the killing of some policemen en route Anambra International Airport, all in January 2022 alone. Recently, the group was accused of beheading an army couple on their way to Imo State for their traditional wedding. The killing, which has sparked nationwide outrage, is believed to have amplified calls for banning and designation of the group as a terrorist organization.
By every standard, the IPOB ought to have been, labeled as a terrorist organization long before now. And we have been at the forefront of actually telling relevant authorities that need to know the activities of IPOB and the reason why they should be labeled as a terrorist organization. But it's a good development, even though it's coming at this time. We still feel it's kind of late, but I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late that it's coming at this time. It's a good development, and that's to send a strong message across board.
In a swift reaction, Ohanaeze youth decried UK's tagging of IPOB as a terrorist organization. The youth wing of the Apex Igbo Sociocultural Organization has also denounced the British government's decision, with Igbo Ayaka O insisting that IPOB is no more than a self-determination group seeking for the actualization of the sovereign state of the Biafra. It will be recalled that the leader of the group, Nnamdi Kanu, has been severally arrested and detained on charges of terrorism against the Nigerian government. In May 2022, a federal high court struck out 8 out of the 15 charges. Nana Muhammad, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. Still to come after the break. Gombe Emir urges citizens to pray against insecurity in the state. This and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now look at our top stories. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo on Friday met with APC delegates in Awka, the Anambra State capital, in continuation of his engagement with stakeholders ahead of the party's primaries. And federal government has reiterated the prohibition on civil servants to partake in primary elections. And moving on to other news now, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has expressed his pleasure following the Supreme Court's verdict on the subsistent boundary dispute between Rivers and Imo states. The Apex Court on Friday gave the ownership rights of the oil wells in Ndoni and Egbema communities to Rivers, ending the political arrangement on the sharing of revenue from the facilities. In the judgment by Justice Morenekiji Ogunwujimi, the court dismissed the counterclaim filed by the Imo State government, saying the administrative maps it relied on are inaccurate. The Apex Court thus held that all the oil wells of Akri and Mbede communities that were wrongly attributed to Imo State are within the territory of Rivers State. Now to insecurity, where Tofa community in Magami district of Gusau local government area of Zamfara State has been deserted due to incessant attack by bandits in the troubled area. Residents of the community also want a return to their ancestral homes as the rain season sets in to enable them go back to the farm, which is their major occupation. The community members claimed, despite writing to the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, DIG Mammans Afe retired, demanding the deployment of more security operatives to enable them access their farmlands, no action has been taken to that effect. Adamu Silas reports.
Tofa community is 40 kilometers away from Gusau, the Zamfara state capital. It is located along Ansado axis, where banditry is said to have emanated from over a decade ago. The community has been witnessing constant attacks by suspected terrorists, forcing residents of the community to seek refuge in places that are relatively safe in the state. Residents of the affected communities said they have appealed to appropriate authorities to deploy security operatives to assist in securing their community to no avail. The residents are once again appealing to federal and Zamfara state governments to deploy security operatives to the troubled community to enable members who left their houses to relatively safe places as a result of frequent attacks by terrorists to return to carry out their farming activities. They decreed the hunger that is rampant in the community due to takeover of their farmlands by the bandits and called for swift intervention. Some women in the troubled community narrated their ordeals.
While living at Tofa Magami community, despite the challenges we're facing here, we will continue to pray to God to overcome them because the situation is worsening by the day. The bandits have been entering houses to steal our money. They don't allow us to go to our farmlands, and we cannot go to fetch water. We have to leave our community to seek refuge in other safer communities, but we returned because we do not have food to eat. We are depending on God for a solution to this problem. We are appealing for security, food and clothing.
Efforts to reach the Zamfara State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, retired DIG Mammans Afe, to speak on the state government's plans to address the challenges were abortive.
Meanwhile, the Emir of Gombe, Abubakar Shehu Abubakar III, has urged his subjects to continue to pray against the lingering insecurity in the country. The Emir spoke during a Salah homage to the Gombe State Governor, Inua Yahaya. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The Emir, who is worried over the lingering insecurity prevailing the country, called for prayers to help the country surmount its security challenges. Whenever I have an opportunity to speak, I always advocate for peace. Peace is above everything. Without it, we can't be here. Gombe is developed because of peace. That is why we always preach peace. You must pray for peace. Speaking to journalists, Governor Inua emphasized the need for synergy between government and traditional institutions to achieve peace in the state.
For any meaningful development to take place, there is a need for sanity between not only the state government and the traditional institutions, but indeed between the federal government, the state, the local governments, and the people represented by the traditional institutions. We are working in synergy, and that is why there is relative peace, there is harmony, there is understanding, and there is progress on Gombe State. We thank God for that.
Salah homage to the government house has been part of the activities during every Salah festival in Gombe. The visit featured horse riding, traditional drumming, and trumpeting. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Meanwhile, the Osun State government has commenced the enrollment of 30,000 youth into the Osun Health Insurance Scheme to enable them get accessible and affordable quality healthcare. At a press briefing in Osogbo on Friday, Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Olayemi Lawal, said that the state governor, Adeboyega Oyetola, ordered the immediate enrollment of 30,000 youth into the health insurance scheme. Lawal said the initiative was to properly integrate the youth across the state into the scheme, especially those who are out of school, unemployed, and physically or mentally challenged. He said the government has also commenced massive recruitment into Osun Youth Employment Scheme, adding that the administration of Governor Oyetola will continue to engage youth in the state profitably.
Is for this administration to continue to engage the youth profitably. What Mr. Governor has approved is for us to ensure that we take as many youth as possible off the streets, to ensure that we create a program that will better their living, we create a program that will be able to put them on the pedestal of a better living standard. And that's what we have done. And by implication, what we are doing today is to bring a minimum of 30,000 youths, bring them into the system of the Osun Health Insurance Scheme, and to recruit more OES cadets to be able to function as proper citizens of the state.
And the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission says the nation's oil and condensate reserve status as of January 1st, 2022 is 37.046 billion barrels. The Commission's Chief Executive, Benga Komolafe, said this on Friday in Abuja at a stakeholders' engagement with print and electronic media. Similarly, Komolafe said that the national gas reserve status of January 1st, 2022 was at 208.62 trillion cubic feet, representing an increase of 1.01% compared to 206.53 trillion cubic feet as of January 1st, 2021. Speaking on the initiative to enhance crude oil production, Komolafe said the Commission recognized the formulation of all-inclusive strategies to increase crude oil and gas reserves from 37 billion barrels and 208.62 trillion cubic feet. And now look at the foreign scene, where the United Nations Security Council has released its first statement on Russia's February invasion of Ukraine, supporting Secretary General Antonio Guterres' efforts to find a peaceful solution to the crisis, but avoiding the use of the words war, invasion, or conflict. The Security Council statements are agreed upon by consensus. The brief text adopted on Friday was drafted by Norway and Mexico. Guterres, who met Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last week, welcomed the Council's support on Friday, saying he will spare no effort to save lives, reduce suffering, and find the path to peace. And in sports, Chelsea has confirmed that terms have been agreed for Todd Boehly to complete his £4.25 billion takeover of the club. Chelsea confirmed on their official website in the early hours of Saturday morning that Boehly and his consortium can purchase the club following the UK government's approval. It said the sale is expected to complete in late May, subject to all necessary regulatory approvals. Boehly's consortium was named as the preferred bidder to take over at Stamford Bridge by the Rain Group, the American bank who are overseeing the sale. He has partnered with fellow Dodgers owner Mark Walter, Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Wyss, and as well as an investment firm, Clearlake Capital. Uncertainty over Chelsea's future has lasted months after the government sanctioned former owner Roman Abramovich in March following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.